Hey, Bryce Eldridge, you feeling sexy at the plate right now?
It's great. I'm feeling really great. I feel like this is a great time for me to get brought up. I told Jared earlier, I'm feeling sexy at the plate right now. So I'm gonna try and keep that moving. And obviously it's a different ball game, but it's not. It's the same ball game. I'm just gonna keep trying to trust myself and trust my teammates, and that'll bring me a long way.
There's a legit arrogance there in a good way.
Feeling sexy at the plate right now. That was almost like when Greg Cosell said he watched Ricky Pearsall, who had 0 catches. He's like, yeah, he looked juicy. Bryce Eldridge is feeling sexy at the plate right now.
Ricky Pearsall, Cosell.
Sorry, I've been gone for 3 weeks. Were people losing their minds at the dribbling pick?
No.
Oh, John Lynch, I don't know how you do it, man. I don't know how you do it, but these people just don't like your picks at all. They said he's a faster Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings was a 7th-round pick.
Still available.
He'll be a Raider soon, probably. So, yeah, there you go. Sexy at the plate.
Bryce, there is an arrogance, and I mean this in a good way. You have to be confident in this game. We've talked a lot about the mental ability to be able to navigate the ups and downs of a baseball season, and you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no coach is going to believe in yourself more than you need to for you to reach your maximum potential.
So we're on Twitter. You can follow us at Morning Roast 957. You can go at ButcherBoy415 at Spadoni_Joe. All right. This is from Oz. Giants need to make the playoffs. Anything else is a failure. This ain't a rebuild. Season going bad. We already are expecting the letdown. This isn't a rebuild. I understand that. But if this turned into a rebuild this season, would that be the worst thing in the world, is what I'm asking. I don't think it would be. You would still have pieces. Rebuild to me, Joe, is you're saying goodbye to Logan Webb, Rafi Devers, Adames, Chapman, Robbie Ray's already gone. You're gutting it completely. I don't think that's what I'm talking about. If they end up being sellers at the deadline, and that means you trade Robbie Ray and, maybe one or both of Willie Adames and Matt Chapman, I don't think that's the worst thing for the squad. Because that would tell me you're already, where you're at right now, which is not a good team.
Yeah, but
and you can shed some salary and, dedicate more time to the young players that are playing well.
So, I'm trying to balance this out because I'm very conflicted. On one level, we've been under 500 or at 500 for what feels like forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Last decade.
A decade, basically. Yeah. And on one level, I'm sick and tired of losing. And that is the ultimate goal for every team, is to win, right?
Absolutely.
The ultimate goal. Are there smaller goals for the health of the franchise that mean more over the next couple of years? Yeah. All these young players developing would be a great problem to have regarding the big contracts I'm already committed to. But the reality is that the big contracts I'm already committed to, if they're unmovable and these guys continue to stink, they are anchors. They're anchors.
They are.
There's just no other way around it because you're going to have to staple things that you do like to get rid of those guys. So, yes, I want Bryce to be a star. I want these other young players to continue balling. I want Casey Schmidt. In an ideal world, I'm being 100% sincere here. Chapman's a great guy. I actually really like Chapman. I probably like Chapman more than most people like Chapman. But in my heart of hearts, what's better for this organization? Casey becoming a better version and a younger, more inexpensive version of Chapman right now? Hell yeah, sign me up with that. I'm all here for that. I really am. And then I'll just deal with the Chapman thing as I deal with it. But to have those three guys, Chapman, Adames, and Devers, just straight up struggling, that is the bigger issue right now. And they've got to make the playoffs, because they're just pot committed financially. Robbie Ray's going to walk. Arise is probably going to walk. Logan Webb. How many prime years do you truly have left of Logan Webb?
I don't know. This year, are we seeing the slight decline this season? I don't know.
Well,
it's 2-3 with a 4.29 ERA.
It's not as good as it was last year, but I think it's still early. I think he's been a victim of a variety of things. I don't think the WBC helped. No one wants to, bring that up, but I don't think it helped. And then the ABS, I think, is a small factor. But Posey needs to make the playoffs. You know, I do believe that. And like for Tony Vitello to come in and push for a playoff spot would be huge. Of course, the development is like an underlying narrative of everything that they do. But I think most Giants fans are sick and tired of being a 75 to 80 win team.
I know. And I'm with you. 415 on the text line. You are suffering from lack of sleep. The franchise is going to take a massive step backwards if the highlight is developing a couple of players. Can't be a Farhan hater and a Posey apologist.
Ooh, that's an interesting thing.
I'm not being a Posey apologist or a Farhan hater per se, but I'm just saying this. The contracts right now are, as you said, anchors.
Big time.
Wouldn't you be happy moving off two of them at this point, as currently constructed?
One, if I had to, one, because of Casey's emergence and his rise.
Yes.
You're talking about conceptually.
Yes.
Okay, I would accept that. Multiple, that tells me things went way off the rails. I use the David Lee example like as a good one, right? So like Draymond's emergence just basically negated David Lee and stymied him, and also David Lee was older and he was getting hurt. He was a good player for them, and it made a lot of sense when they did it. It also made way more sense to pivot toward Draymond and to de-emphasize David Lee. But what did they do after they won the championship? They traded David Lee away.
Yeah.
You know, they had to get rid of him, right? And so, like, that's a great problem to have, but the reality is, like, that's one guy. If it were multiple guys, like, which is what you're alluding to, like, I'm tired of being a seller at the deadline every year.
Well, they haven't even really been a great seller. They've been kind of like, they pussyfoot around.
Well, last year they traded away. But last year they traded away Rodgers and Doval, right? They sent away both of and Mike Yastrzemski. I was down for all of that, but then like looking back at it, it's like, dude, you could have just hung around in the wild card. Yeah. Like what last year really taught me is like, you're never really out of it. As bad as it looks right now, they're still not dead.
What would it say, this from the 415, what would it say to any future free agent superstar if this team tears their big salary players off the roster with just some struggles? I would argue that Willie Adames, it's not just a little struggles. He's been struggling the last year.
Well, I've been arguing with a lot of fans on that. They're like, he had 30 bombs last year. I'm like, okay.
So what?
It reminds me of like the Jameis Winston season when he threw for 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions.
Picks.
People are like, he threw for 30. It's like, what about the 30 picks? He struck out 179 times last year, guys.
He can't hit lefties. He can't hit them.
I mean,
he can't. 650, Chapman and prospects for Skubal, yes or no?
Skubal's hurt now for 2 or 3 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he hurt his elbow.
Oh, great. 415, I'm with Spadoni. Get rid of the money, get top pitching prospects, and spend the money again on bats once we have the arms. I'm saying it would not be the worst thing in the world if they ended up being sellers to an extent.
Well, that's okay. So now
is what I'm saying.
All right.
We're a month in, and again, people are probably going to be tuning in saying, what are you guys saying? It's May 5th. This team, they're still in it. They're still in it. I'm not saying they're cooked right now. I'm here to tell you, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if July comes around and they have to be sellers.
Can we acknowledge one thing today? And look, if it lasts one more month where Casey Schmidt is like this, can we acknowledge one thing? Someone's the odd man out.
I listened to you and Sam yesterday, and you were talking about the Yankees and, taking a flyer on Volpe potentially if you just have to move off a contract of Chapman and get a couple other prospects.
I'm just throwing things out there.
I'm not saying you were going to say that.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking. I was like, I could see Chapman being a Yankee. I think a lot of us could.
I totally agree.
He fit perfect in that ballpark.
And he's win now.
The short porch. Yep. He just screams Mr. Yankee.
And he could bat 7th or 8th.
Perfect.
And it'd be perfect for him. And that doesn't mean I don't like him. You know what I mean? But like, I think the reality is that what you're talking about is a big picture thing. What I'm talking about is a one roster move, right? And like, I think Grandy got real upset with me on Friday because he's like, you can't punt. I'm like, I'm not saying punt. What I'm saying is,
I didn't know Mark Grandy gets mad.
Like, do I want Bryce Eldridge to be a stud? Yes. Okay. Well, how does he get to become one? Now that he's up, the reality is everyday at bats, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So to accomplish this everyday at bat theory, him and Devers have got to occupy first base and DH for the remainder of the year. Correct?
Correct.
I would say 95 out of 100 days, right? Okay. So DH, first base is locked up. Okay. All right. Boom. That's one position. Third base. Well, I have Schmidt, who can play there. I have Chapman, who can play there. Shortstop. I have Adames, who can play there. Do we think Casey can play there? I think it's a tough ask. I didn't love him at shortstop.
He can. I would prefer him not to. That's like an emergency situation if you need to put him there.
I agree. Yeah. So I'm going to say maybe maybe Schmidt, excuse me. Second base.
Arraez.
I mean, now, he's on a 1-year deal.
He's been a revelation, though.
I don't want to get rid of him.
He's been great.
Am I alone in this? I think he fits the culture and clearly has bought in on Tony Vitello. If anything, he's a guy that I'm like, there's Schmidt and Arraez, the combination of the two of them. Now, this might not age well, but now has me thinking, yeah, I do think third base is an expendable position that can be moved.
Yeah.
Because I feel so good about Arraez on I want to give him a 1-1. I want to give him a 1 year and a player option. That's what I want to give him.
Farhan would love that.
If I asked most Giants fans, I think they'd buy in on that.
I would too.
I think he fits.
I don't know if Arraez would want to do that, but if at the right price point, absolutely.
But right now,
his defense is, and I know the bat's been great. It's the defense for me that's been a revelation. Ron Washington's been able to work with this guy. That's why you bring in a wash on your staff.
Every defensive metric tells you he's one of the best defensive second basemen, which is crazy.
Insane.
It's crazy.
Because the narrative heading into the season was he was a minus defender. So he's been plus.
Exactly. So if first base is locked up, if DH is locked up, and shortstop, we really don't have an answer behind Adames. And then I look at second and third, and I go, Arraez and Schmidt could do it. Schmidt and Chapman could do it. I mean, logically, we're stuck with one of two things. Either you're moving Arraez, which I don't want to do, or you're moving Chapman. I don't think Adames is movable. So now in this hypothetical, you're saying moving one contract, like hypothetically Chapman's, to me is not we're punting on the season.
No.
It's I'm creating room to give Eldridge everyday opportunities as well as Casey Schmidt's bat in the lineup. Now, what I didn't bring up was the corner outfield spot, meaning left field. And I think this was the one that now, I don't know if you heard the manager, he kind of brought up the corner outfield could potentially be a spot for Casey Schmidt. And Casey said, hey, I played there in high school. I used to move around pretty well. I even played a little center field. I know we'll have the sound. We'll look for it. But is Ramos on this team long term? If you can't move these contracts, is Casey Schmidt an option in left field for a variety of days?
Vitello before the game on Casey Schmidt getting outfield reps.
We're going to play him. Yeah. Right field's fine. Center field might be a stretch, but play him anywhere.
Play him anywhere.
I love that. So now I'm looking at it and I go, all right, I've got Schmidt who can play third, second, and left field. Again, is Chapman going to be happy every 3-4 days taking a seat?
No, but too bad.
Okay, but he did sign a big contract.
He did. But you know what? The team's not producing. You're 7 games under 500. Something's got to change.
If I was him, I would say, yeah, I actually am producing. This guy Adames isn't producing as well as I am. Why am I the one sitting? I'm just presenting the full argument.
I'm with you. He might feel some type of way about it, but he'll have the chance to shake that narrative with his bat and with his play.
I agree.
He can bat his way into more consistent roles, and we're still talking about just missing a day here and there with Chapman. And we're not talking about missing, multiple days or multiple series or anything like that. I just want to see the best players hit right now. And I think yesterday it was refreshing, Joe, as you're talking about it. It's just refreshing to hear that from Posey and Vitello saying, yeah, man, we just got to get our best players to hit right now. Whoever's hitting.
So your point of hey, moving one guy and we're developing. I'm in on the development, but I'm not moving Robbie Ray right now.
No.
Now, things could change. I'm not moving Luis Arraez right now. I'm definitely not moving any of my bullpen arms. We're already thin at bullpen. I learned my lesson last year.
Haven't buyer's remorse on Devers yet or no?
I'm letting it play out.
Okay.
I'm letting it play out.
I'm with you too on Devers. It's the dumbest one to have major buyer's remorse.
Now, I will meet you here in the middle where I want to make the playoffs. Here's where I think I disagree from fan narrative talk. And what I mean is if you're punting on one of the big three, you're punting on the core. No, I think it's pretty easy. Schmidt's one of the top 1 or 2 players on this team.
Yeah.
And if you don't find room to play him every day, well, then shame on you as an organization. You're not trying to make the playoffs if you're not playing him every day. That's what my counter would be.
510 on the text line. Also, 4 of your top 5 prospects are shortstops behind Adames.
Which I've been talking about forever in Johnny Level and some of these other guys.
Who I'd love to see at some point.
Well, but he's in single A, so we're years away.
Exactly, at some point.
Can I throw out a random one?
Please.
Is there any world where Chapman can play short?
I think he could. Does he want to? I mean,
I'm just asking.
He's a platinum glove third baseman.
I know.
So he's going to hang his hat on, hey, dude, at my best, I am the best. And it comes to this position. Why would I go anywhere else?
It's a tough ask.
Well, again, this is not to the level, because I always go, when there's a third base, shortstop, thing, you go to Jeter, Rodriguez. A-Rod was the better one.
No, he was one of the greatest shortstops.
It wasn't even close to me. But you gotta protect the ego of Derek Jeter. He's the captain. He's Captain America, number 2. Derek Jeter, by the way, rest in peace, John Sterling. God, that one hurts me. As a guy that produced a lot in the back and cut up a lot of John Sterling audio, guy just brought a smile to my face, and he is what is right with baseball.
Sure.
And I'm going to miss that man. And he lived a great life. Yeah. He lived a great life. And he was a great guest on the show multiple times. So that was my little soliloquy there. Rest in peace, John Sterling. We're talking about right now, the Giants being sellers, but can you be selective sellers?
Ooh, I like that.
Can you be a selective seller where it's not waving the white flag? Because I'm getting a lot of panic from the text line right now saying, Spadoni, this is a loser mentality. This team has hundreds of $millions invested in Chapman and Adames endeavors. They have to make the playoffs. I was like, yes, we're all in agreement that should be the goal. But there could be secondary goals too. And a secondary goal or a 1B goal for me is coming away from this season with a young core or young pieces.
Okay, so we're in alignment on that. That is, if we step back, like, why is Farhan not here? Because of exactly what you want 1B to be.
Correct.
Meaning the development of a young core that can come through, and that's sustained winning for me, and I understand that. But in the short term, because like I always go short-term goals, long-term goals. Yeah. In the short term, I still want to make the playoffs. Which, as absurd as it sounds, after getting swept in one of the lifeless, road trips I've ever seen.
It's like you said in a job interview, it's like, where do you see yourself now and where do you see yourself in 5 years? Which I always hate. I was like, I don't know. I see into a crystal ball.
I said to an employer one time, I was like, I'm not really sure, but are you going to be with the company in 5 years? And he did not like that.
I kind of like that, though, that response.
You said that to Nahigian?
Oh, Matty. He was excited to see me. He gave me a bro hug today.
He took a big, I don't know where I'm going to be.
Hey, Casey Schmidt, how about playing some outfield?
Yeah, I mean, I played there. I played outfield in high school my freshman sophomore year, so it's obviously not the same. But yeah, I mean, I'm open to whatever and just whatever I can do to help.
Like last week,
He's
I don't know.
Such a bro. Whenever I hear him talk, like, dude just got off like the surfing out of Sillamar Beach or something.
I love him.
He's great.
It reminded me, like I played it in high school. It reminded me of Deshaun Stribling. The Niners had released last week. They're like, he transitioned from quarterback in 7th grade. And Grant Cohn had this rant. And he was like, in 7th grade? What, did he finish watching SpongeBob? And then it was like, I think I'll play wide receiver. Oh, I had a good laugh at that.
No, I love
he transitioned from quarterback in 7th grade.
No one heard of let's keep it a buck. No one heard of this guy Stribling until like his name was called. And then the revisionist history a week later, this guy could be like Jerry Rice and Randy Moss and Terrell Owens in one.
Well, I'm rooting for him.
What are we doing?
I'm rooting for him.
Of course.
I know.
But don't just... It's okay to admit that I have never heard of this guy until they drafted him.
Who's the guy in New England that's the insider? Come on, what's the... not Rappaport, the other guy.
For New England?
No,
Albert Breer?
Albert Breer.
Yeah.
Albert Breer is such a mouthpiece for the Niners. Can we just call it what it is? He clearly does damage control for the Niners because days later, it's like, I thought the Titans were going to get him. What? They drafted a receiver 4 overall that they reached on. What are you talking about?
Carter in the chat.
It's like ridiculous.
Carter in the chat was so good. He's like, all right, guys, what do you think's going to happen? What are your predictions in the draft? First round. I was like, they're going to draft some player you've never heard of.
And we're all going to lose our minds.
And they didn't even have a first-round draft pick anyways. So you stayed up for nothing. And yeah, we're all going to lose our minds. We all knew what was happening. Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest. The Stribling thing was hilarious.